Okay, Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. My name is Dr. Safai. I'm the chairman of the organizing committee of this conference and also chief editor for journal publication. Thank you very much and welcome to the 5th International Conference on Business Management, Social Science, Technology, Education and Engineering 2023. Or in short, we always refer this conference as ICBMTE23. For the record, this is the 5th installment of this conference since we started our series of conference management in 2019. Okay, so with the exception of COVID-19 pandemic period from April 2022 to April 2020, from April 2020 to April 2022 in Malaysia. So our series of conferences have attracted quite a number of participants from Malaysia and international countries as well. Yeah. We are scheduled to receive participants from our home country, Malaysia. We also have participants from Istanbul, Turkey, and also Hanoi, Vietnam. So I believe it is now about 9:20 a.m. in the morning in Istanbul, Turkey, and about 1:20 p.m. in Hanoi, Vietnam. Okay. Allow me to go through the agenda in a very short and precise moment. So you are registering to this conference. We have signed in. So your attendance as a signing in to this conference is considered your attendance record to our virtual conference. And then I will spend about maybe 10 minutes or less to discuss about the conference, the background, and also what happened next after we finish this conference this afternoon. And then after my short briefing, then we will immediately commence with the presentation session. Okay. After that, we expect to finish around 5:30 p.m. in the afternoon, our time, Malaysian time. And then we will have a short Q&A. We can also have Q&A after the presentation from each of the presenters. And then after that, we will end our session around 5 p.m. or 5:30 p.m. depending on how long actually will take to complete all the presentation. Okay. So most importantly is this is the list or the schedule of the presentation, a little bit different from the one that I emailed to you earlier. Okay. This one is actually following the list from the registration date. You are registering into the conference according to the date actually. Yeah. So we're going to have Mr. Dani Asmadi, and then Ms. Dauti Wen Huang, followed by Anita Nadarajan, and then after that Dr. Burhan. After that Dodo Khan, but Dodo Khan is not attending this conference. He actually changed his participation category to pre-recorded video presentation. He has actually submitted his video to us, so he will not be participating in this virtual conference. And then Muhammad Hilmi, and then Mr. Muhammad Sharul Islam. And we are very fortunate today. We have 4 listeners. I'm not sure from the list that we have here. Whether Dr. Ahmad Fahmi, Dr. Ahmad Fahmi is not in yet. Okay. Okay, Sharul Islam is coming in. And we have Kanagarajan Pandian as a listener, Periasami listener, and Vasu Munyandi also as a listener. Okay. Okay. There is a small note down there. Allocated time is 10 to 15 minutes. Yes, we tried. I seek your cooperation, and you try very much to to comply with this requirement. 10 to 15 minutes, I think, is sufficient. And your presentation should be structured around these five main item, which is one, objective of your research, and then second is the background of your research, and then you have to discuss about the methodology of the research, and then data analysis and findings, and finally the conclusion. So you work around these five main items for about maybe 10 minutes or also, So try to keep your presentation within 10 or 15 minutes or less than that, actually, because from if you know that from our record or from our from psychological standpoint, actually, most of us have I would say a rather short attention span. Maybe just 10 minutes or 15 minutes of your presentation is good enough. So all of us actually can follow through. All right. So if you speak too long, maybe not many of us will be able to follow through your presentation. So you try to work out within 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 10 slides or 12 slides will do. Okay. So the listener are here already, as I mentioned, except perhaps Dr. Ahmad Fahmi has not signed in yet. So most importantly is that after we finish this conference today, what happened next? All right. From us as the organizer of the conference and also the publisher of your papers into our proceeding and also referee journals, we have I think 3 main responsibilities. The first one is actually we will be generating the certificates for all of you. So this is a e-certificate in PDF format, will be provided to all presenters and also the co-authors of your papers, all of them. If you have 1, 2, 3, 5, will provide the certificate as you mentioned in your full paper. So all co-authors mentioned in the full paper will be provided with the certificate as well, e-certificate. Okay. So you expect to receive this certificate within tomorrow, Monday or Tuesday, the day after tomorrow. We say here within a week, but normally we do it within 1 or 2 days after the conference. Okay. And then we will have also those who are submitting their pre-recorded presentation video who participated in this conference as a presenter. We pre-recorded video presentation will have their videos published in our YouTube channel. Also within a week, but normally within tomorrow or a day after, we will have those videos published in our YouTube. So those participants who participated as presenter pre-recorded video presentation will be provided with the URL of the video in the YouTube after we have completed the publication in the YouTube channel. So maybe there are comments from other participants or from the who watch the video and so on. There could be some comments. So I advise that the author or the participant of that video to have a look at the comment and then try to respond as soon as you can. Okay. And then the third one is actually the publication of conference proceeding book. So this will be within a month from today, but typically we will be able to produce within a week at the earliest or 2 weeks at the latest, normally from the past experience. So it should be within 1 to 2 weeks. Okay. Again, that depends because I noticed there are a few of participants have paid the conference fee, but have not submitted the full paper yet. Okay. It is okay. I understand because I know we are very tight for time and so on. So I understand you can submit your paper as soon as you have finished your paper, and then we'll put that into publication process for conference proceeding. So again, I mentioned if any one of us submit late the full paper to us, that will also have an effect to the publication of the conference proceeding book. So, so we need cooperation from everybody who participated in this conference to, submit the full paper as soon as you can. Okay. And then the next one is publication in the journal. For you, all of us who have participated in this conference, either as a non-presenter who just submit the paper for publication, or as presenter like you, presenter as in a virtual conference, except listener. If you submit your full paper, you are entitled to have your paper published in the conference proceeding book and also in the referee journal. So publication in the referee journal normally is within 1 month or 3 months. Okay, considering this conference, which is dated 29th of January, and our publication process is for all our journal is 4 times a year. That is in March, June, September, and December. So the next publication is for March 2023 issue. So all your papers will be published in March 2023 issues of our journals, depending on your research area. If your research area is in education and pedagogy, your paper will be published in our education and pedagogy journal. If your paper is business management and so on, will be published in a business and management journal, and so on and so forth. Okay, so publication will be in early March 2023 for journal publication, referee journal publication. Okay. We also have a publication in high index, in this case in Scopus, but only for this particular journal that we have. Okay, Journal of Advanced Research in Applied Sciences and Engineering Technology. So if your paper happen to fall within these 3 research areas, it's a good chance that we can actually offer the publication service in this high index journal. This paper is indexed in Scopus last year in August 2022. It is in Q4. If you are interested, but only for this research area. Okay, if you have paper in engineering or in applied science or in technology, then we can actually work out if you like to have your paper published in this journal. Okay, let us know. Unfortunately, we do not have any other journal related to other research areas such as social science, management, business, education, supply chains, and so on. Okay. A sample of the certificate that we are going to provide you is like this, as shown in the screen. So certificate of participation is especially for your co-author. For the presenter like you will receive the title certificate as presenter. Okay, and then your name, and then your affiliation, and then the title of your paper, and the name of this conference, okay, and so on. All right. For those who submitted the video to us, you are not submitting video, but for those who submitted the video to us, the page in the YouTube of their respective video publication will look something like this. Okay, so we have the main page of the presentation here, and then out here we have a short description that we extract from the abstract of their full paper. Yeah. And then the publication in conference proceeding book, like I mentioned, it will be within 1 to 2 weeks Our commitment is 1 month, but normally we can deliver within 1 to 2 weeks. The faster all of you submitted your full paper, the sooner we can actually deliver the conference proceeding book. Okay, and the conference proceeding book is actually a verbatim. That means there is no correction at all from the paper that you submitted. So we take your paper as is and we publish in the conference proceeding book. However, before we publish your paper in our referee journal, which I said earlier in March 2023 issue, we will send an email. I think within middle of February, pre-journal publication. So you will have the opportunity, if you like, to make revision to your full paper before we submit in our journal publication. We will send an email and then you can request from us. Your paper we will provide you the paper in the journal format, okay, in the journal formatted standard, so that you can apply all the changes or revision that you would like to have for your respective paper in that particular copy of the journal formatted paper. Okay, so it's a save time from our side, not to actually redo your paper or reformat your paper or restructure your paper according to our publication standard. Okay. Coming back to the conference proceeding book, it is not online. We give you in PDF format. And the reason why it is not online is because our journals are online. So 90% of the papers submitted to us, publication in the same version published in proceeding, and also the same version actually published in the journal. So if we have our proceeding in online and our journal online, we will have a big issue with respect to similarity index. Okay, like exact copy from the conference and also the conference proceeding and also in the journal. So we want to avoid that from happening. So we put our conference proceeding in PDF format. Okay. And then the publication in conference proceeding, the conference proceeding will look something like this. This is the main page. And then followed by the copyright page, is a preface, and then abstract of the proceeding, and then the table of content of the proceeding for this conference, and then followed by your paper. All participants who submit the paper to us will be published in this one. So the paper is ordered according to alphabetical order, right? And then publication in referee journal, I mentioned within 1 to 3 months. In your case, in this conference, it will take about one month and probably 1.5 months actually before we publish in March 2023 issues. Okay. And this journal are indexed by the Citation and Informatics Center of Malaysia under the Ministry of Higher Education. So it is indexed by my journal. We are waiting for indexing by another level of indexing by CIC, which is my site. We haven't got that my site indexation yet. Okay, so once we publish in this journal, we will provide you the URL to access your article in the journal. You can cross-check if there are any mistake or any shortcoming and so on. You can also write to us if you have some changes last minute, after we publish, like the name of the authors, abstract you want to change, you want to add citation and so on. No problem. Okay, these are the list of the referee journal that we have. So most likely your paper, any one of your paper will fall in any one of these journal. This cover pretty much most, if not all, of the research area, like education, pedagogy, social science, business, economy, accounting, finance, technology, and so on. Okay, next one is basically the list of the conference that we're going to have until April 2023. The one highlighted yellow is the one that we are currently having. And then in Sunday, 2 weeks from now, we're going to have one in Penang, in Bayview Beach Resort. We call that ESSET23. And then followed by Sunday, 5th March, we're going to have this e-best conference in Kuala Lumpur back. And then Wednesday, 29 March and Wednesday, 19 April, we are going to have virtual conference because these are the period of our Muslim fasting month. Okay, so we will not have physical face-to-face conference. We only have virtual and pre-recorded video presentation for conference Bytes 23 and also ISSED 23. So with that, I thank you very much for staying with us. Do you have any question at all? Regarding my short briefing? No problem. You don't have to mention now.
No,
Yeah,
doctor. No problem. Yeah, no.
You can always email us. We will always respond your email as soon as we can. All right. So if you have no question, then we go back to our agenda just now, which is our presentation session. Okay. So from the list that we are going to have Dani Asmadi Ibrahim to start. Are you here, Dani? From the list of the attendants, I don't see Dani here. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Miss Dao Tewan Hong, are you ready?
Right, I'm ready now.
Thank you very much.
So okay, can I share the screen?
Wait, let me sharing just now, right?
Oh.
I have to unshare mine and then you can share yours.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's no problem. You just share.
I can say multiple sharing, yes.
Yeah, I think it's no problem.
Okay. So Ms. Dao, you can share your presentation slide now.
Okay, I can see that right now. So good afternoon, everyone. And today,
sorry, I don't see your slide.
Oh. Just a second. Can you see my slides right now?
No. Anyone can see Ms. Dao's slide now?
No.
No. You can share your slide.
Hello. Because Dr. Shafi, you opened the multiple one, so that's why they view the option. If you click the Danwen Hong, then you can see her presentation slides. Actually, I can see. Okay.
I think the best is
okay.
I will unshare mine.
Yes. The best thing is you just unshare yours. I can see the Danwen Hong. Yes.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, right. So I just want.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So can you see my slides right now?
Yes.
Now I can see.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You can start now.
Okay, I can start now, right?
Yeah.
So good afternoon, everyone. So today I'm going to present my research paper, which is entitled A Study of the Exploitation of Rice's Cooperative Principle Maxims in TOEFL Listening Test. And this is the outline of my research, of my presentation. I would like to start off with the introduction. So the reason why I chose to study about the TOEFL IBT listening, the TOEFL listening test, is because TOEFL, as you know, is known as the test of English as a foreign language. And it is a test of an individual's ability to use and understand American English in an academic setting. And it is designed and administered by Educational Testing Service, ETS. It is a registered trademark of ETS. So it has become an admission requirement for a lot of non-native English speakers at many English-speaking colleges and universities. And additionally, institutions such as government agencies or businesses or scholarship programs may require this test. And this study is carried out in the light of pragmatic approach. So this theory helps to analyze not only the linguistic features of the implicatures generated from this, the conversations studied, but also we can analyze the mechanisms that generate those implicatures. So this is the aim of the study, and the study is carried out in order to answer two research questions. The first one, how speakers in TOEFL listening test exploit certain Grice's cooperative principle maxims to generate implicatures in interaction. And the second one, which of the maxims of Grice's cooperative principle is more likely to be flouted in TOEFL listening test. Part 2 is the development of the paper. And in chapter 1, the theoretical background, I'll be discussing about Grice's cooperative principle and implicatures. In order to explain how humans could manage to exchange information successfully with all the imperfection of language, Grice noticed that participants must assume that all the interlocutors, the participants in the conversation or the interaction, are following some set of rules, and he called these rules the cooperative principle. And this, the cooperative principle runs like this. Make your contribution such as is required at the state in which it occurs by the accepted purpose or direction of the thought exchange in which you are engaged. So that means that both the listener, the speaker, and the hearer converse with their willingness to deliver and interpret the message. And the cooperative principle can be divided into 4 maxims like this. We have the quality, maxim of quality, quantity, relation, and manner. Grice's 4 maxims have made it possible to explain how we interpret meanings in interactions. However, when introducing this cooperative principle, what Grice is actually aiming at is not telling speakers how they should behave in a conversation, but only suggest he just wants to suggest that in a normal successful conversation, participants usually work on the assumption that a set of rules is in operation unless the speakers receive indication to the contrary. And this doesn't mean that breaking one or some of the maxims would necessarily lead to the breakdown of a conversation. In fact, humans tend to break these maxims as much as they follow them. Grice discussed 5 ways of not observing the maxims. We have 5 ways here. However, according to Thomas, another 5 ways of breaking the maxims, the most important category is the first one, flouting a maxim. And a flout occurs when the speaker deliberately break a certain maxim in order to send an implicit message and hope that the listener can understand that unspoken notes. So the speaker can choose to exploit or to flout or exploit any of the 4 maxims here to generate implicatures. And now we will be talking about implicature, right? Grice proposed, he proposes that implicature, if you look at this situation, you can, maybe you can understand the meaning of the man. So Grice proposes that implicature refers to the implicit meaning inferred from the utterance. This diagram shows how implicature is generated. Okay, and there are 2 types of implicatures here, conventional implicature and conversational implicatures here. This is the general pattern for working out an implicature. Okay. And now in chapter 2, I will be discussing, I'll be presenting some important information about the study. First, talking about the methodology of this study. This study adopted a qualitative approach for analyzing the information, the conversations. 2 phases of analysis were carried out in order to investigate the exploitation of Grice's cooperative principle maxims in TOEFL listening test. In the initial phase, each conversation is analyzed manually, and the researcher received both contents. The researcher analyzed both the contents and the context of the conversations to investigate how speakers flout certain maxims to generate conversational implications in proper listening section. And in the second phase, the researcher identified the maxim flouted in each conversation using Grice's cooperative principle and compare which maxim is mostly flouted to create a conversational implicature in this test. And due to the limit of time, the data are only collected from scripts of the listening sections in 2 books. Longman Preparation Course for the TOEFL Test by Deborah Phillips and TOEFL Test Preparation Kits by ETS. And this is the findings of the study. 70 conversations have been selected carefully and explained in the light of Grice's cooperative principle. And then these conversations are grouped into 4 categories. Each category contains a number of situations exploiting certain maxims, and the frequency of flouting the maxims in these conversations can be illustrated in the charts on the screen. If you look at this chart, you can see that the maxim of quantity is the most frequently flouted in TOEFL listening section, 64%, and the speakers deliberately provide too much or too little information when they are not willing to expose what is in their minds, and their final goal is to send an implicit note, and they hope that the listener can understand that note. And the second most frequently flouted maxim here is the maxim of relation. The character chooses not to observe the maxim of relation to avoid subjects that would embarrass them or put them in unpleasant situations, as well as hints at something that they would not want to say straight out, to say out loud. And the speakers flout the maxim in order to make their statement stronger. And the following part of the paper will present the analysis of some typical situations in which certain maxims are flouted to generate implicatures. Here you see a situation in which the speaker flouts the maxim of quantity. In this situation, the mechanism in which the implicature is generated can be analyzed as follows. First, the woman stated that John was accepted to the university, and she didn't mention the 2 other students. However, you see that the man's question asked about whether 3 students were admitted to the university. So obviously, in this situation, the woman contributed less than is required by the listener, and there's no reason to think that the woman is not observing the maxims, or at least the cooperative principle. In order for the woman to give that kind of information and be in depth observing the maxims, or at least observing the cooperative principle, she must be trying to put across some other proposition. And this must be an obviously related proposition. And the most reasonable way to explain the woman's utterance is that those who are not mentioned were not admitted to the university. And the woman must know that it is mutual knowledge that the man must be supposed if she is to be taken to be cooperative. And the woman has done nothing to stop the man from making such an inference. So therefore, in giving less information than is required, the woman implicated that not all the 3 students are admitted to the university. In fact, 2 students were not accepted to the university. And this is the second situation in which the speaker flouts the maximum quantity, flouts the maximum relation. So this is the situation in which the speaker flouts the maximum relation, right? The exploitation of the maximum relation happens when the conversational participants deliberately say something that is unrelated to the topic under discussion to generate conversational implicature. In this situation, you see that the questions of the man's question is, what do you think of Professor Martin's lecture on migratory habits of whales? But the woman says, I couldn't keep my eyes open. It seems that her response is unrelated, irrelevant to the man's question. But actually, what she is trying to say is that her the lecture Professor Martin's lecture was not very interesting. Actually, it was rather boring, so that's why she couldn't keep her eyes open. The findings of this study have provided further evidence for the relationship between conversational implicature and the flouting of Rice's cooperative principle maxims. And it has verified that in order to generate conversational implicatures, speakers may choose to flout certain maxims to send implicit message, and with the hope that listeners will understand the unspoken notes. And the maximum quantity is mostly flouted in 70 exchanges, so mostly flouted in all the exchanges analyzed, like 60. It accounts for 64%. And the second mostly flouted maxim is the maxim of relation, 36%. The scriptwriters have the speakers flout the maximum quantity when they want to present them as mysterious or as not willing to expose what is in their mind in some sensitive situations. And their ultimate goal is to create conversational implicatures, and they hope that the listeners can understand the unspoken notes. And the speakers decide not to observe the maxim of relation in order to avoid subjects that would embarrass them in some unpleasant situations, and hint at something that they would not want to say out loud. Maybe they flout the maxim in order to create irony or to make the statement stronger. So in conclusion, Grice's four maxims have made it possible to explain how we interpret meaning in interactions. However, in interactions, speakers sometimes choose not to observe certain maxims to generate implicature, and the speakers in the TOEFL listening test often flout certain maxims to create implicatures. The two maxims that are most likely flouted to generate implicatures in TOEFL listening tests are maxim of quantity and maxim of relation. So you can see that the findings of this study not only help improve students' understanding of what speakers mean in TOEFL listening section, but also assist teachers to explain more clearly and effectively when teaching the test. And in interaction, it helps learners to apply these communicative skills to mediate interpersonal relationships so that they can have successful conversations in real life. And thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dawen Hong. It was actually an interesting subject.
Thank you very much.
I hope the rest also have the same understanding. Okay, now I open up to the floor. If any one of you have any comment, constructive comment that is, or any questions for that matter, anyone at all?
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much, and thank you for nice presentations. So, but only one thing I could not find it all the presentations, because the subject is very interesting, but there is no justification by the previous researcher. That is, there is a lack of citation, basically, because most of the sentences are used only the researcher, but there is no justification by the previous researcher record. So I think it would be the need to improve, I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your advice. And actually, there are a lot of citations in the full paper, but here I just try to make it simple. So thank you very much. Yeah, and I will try to improve next time. Thank you.
No, I think one of our reviewers have reviewed your paper. I think they are, in our opinion, there are many citations that you have already put in place, and you have also put in your bibliography or your references, a list of references actually that you cited to support your so-called your case or your study for that matter.
Thank you very much.
Okay, taking cue from this situation, your paper will be published in our proceeding books, but this proceeding books is only will be extended only to those participants who participate and submitted their paper. Okay.
Okay, I understand.
Listener, sir, I'm very sorry. Listener will not receive any copy of the proceeding book. Actually, that's our standard guideline. Who is asking the question just now? I tried to find out.
Shaharul Islam.
Okay. Are you listener?
No, I am presenter.
Okay. So if you are presenter, then you should be receiving the copy of the conference proceeding, where you will see the paper by Ms. Dow and also papers by other participants as well. Okay, including yours as well. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Dow and Hong. Okay, I will move to the next one. The next one is Anita Nadarajan. Are you ready, Anita?
Yeah, I am, Doctor.
Okay, great. You can share your presentation slide with us.
Hi, Doctor. Can you see my slide?
Yes, yes. I hope everyone else able to see the slide.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, Doctor. Yes.
Okay, move on.
Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, I would like to thank the organizer for providing us an opportunity for presenting our paper at this conference. I'm Anita, author and presenter. Together with me, Mr. Periyasamy, Mr. Kanagarajan, and Mr. Wasu as a co-author for this paper. Okay, the title of our paper is Teachers' Perspectives on the Level of Responsibility Among School Panel Heads in Primary Tamil Trust School in Johor Bahru District, Johor, Malaysia. Head of panels must understand the role and goals of leadership itself in recognizing, understanding, and carrying out their responsibilities as curriculum managers and leaders in the schools more effectively. The head of panels also need to understand that leadership is a process of influencing a person's behavior to encourage them to work towards the achievement of the organization's goal. It's stated by Curriculum Development Center. Apart than this, Dugan and McPherson also stated that the head of the panel is also involved in every level of the task as a teacher, a team leader, and a team member to implement a task following the direction of the institution. Objective of our paper is find teachers' perspectives on the level of respondents among panel heads who play an essential role in improving the level of panel management quality. Apart from that, the paper also able to answer what is the level of a responsibility among panel heads in panel management of the Primary Tamil Trust School in Johor Bahru, Malaysia. For the paper, we use a quantitative method. The present study was performed with a quantitative, with a questionnaire was used involving a total of 48 respondents in this study. The quantitative part was structured questionnaire whose validity was confirmed by calculating Cronbach alpha coefficient 0.81. Determination of the sample size for this study using a table for the population size of 48 pupils. This study did not choose teachers randomly, but used all the respondents from the school as the study subjects. A set of questionnaires was administered to be distributed to the teachers. The instrument used for this study is divided into 3 parts, which consist of 67 items. A pilot study was conducted to determine the appropriateness of the questionnaire used to obtain an analysis of the instrument reliability. Cronbach alpha value for the questionnaire in this pilot study shows a 0.81 and it's acceptable. And we come to data analysis and findings. Data were analyzed descriptively using mean, percentage, and standard deviation. The result of this study showed that the role of panel heads in terms of responsibility is moderately high. However, there is a lack of awareness of the task aspect and sensitivity to the teacher's emotions. The study's results show that the level of responsibility of the head of panel is moderately high, where mean is 3.62 and standard deviation 0.33. The findings of this study indicate that the highest mean is the element of giving rules and instructions to teachers, while it shows a mean to 4.46 and standard deviation stand for 0.521, while the lowest mean is the element of giving recognition to teachers' success. It shows that mean 2.61 and standard deviation stand for 0.163. Here are some dimensions or responsibilities various where giving instruction to the teachers, provide a detailed explanation of the teacher's duties, ensure teachers are responsible for tasks shows high, while giving recognition to the success of teachers shows moderately low. Meanwhile, giving hierarchical priority to the assignment of tasks, explain the goal in detail, manage teaching and learning without problem shows moderately high, while assign task by field, it shows high. In the same time, take into account to teachers' welfare and take into account teachers' feeling, it shows moderately high also. Overall, the mean value for the responsibility variable is 3.62. So it can be concluded that the teachers agree that the responsibility of head panels is at a moderate to high level. Therefore, it can be concluded that although the head panels have a high sense of responsibility for her or his work and the work of teachers under them, but he or she is less successful in giving recognition to teachers who show excellent performance and follow their instructions well. While discussing this paper, we are able to answer the question where what is the level of responsibility of the head panels in the management of the primary Tamil Trust School in Johor Bahru district. So based on the opinion of Mitzberg 1983 quoted in Wexley and Latham 1988, a manager has several main tasks which include aspects of planning, organizing, coordinating, and also controlling resources. Apart from that, managers also need to play their responsibilities from the aspect of responsibility and professional commitment as explained in Drucker's Study 1968, who has given the opinion that the task for a manager also involves aspects of motivation, communication, and also aspects of human development. Therefore, every essential task for this management needs to be known in advance to procedure effective management. So that we can conclude that the level of responsibility among the panel head is moderately high. The implication of the study states that all the elements contained in the responsibility need to be practiced by the head panels. Okay, there are some references. You can view our paper. For now, thank you. If you have any questions or inquiries, you can mail to us, so we are able to answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Anita. It is also an interesting presentation. I would like to open to the rest of us to the floor. If you have any question or any comment to add. Anyone?
Prof, just I want to two things, because all the studies, there is no specific sampling size, that is population, and sampling procedure, that is which sampling style to use. And third question, what is the analytical tools she used in her analysis? So three questions come up. First one, population. Who are the population of this study? And what is the sample size? That is meaning 48 only. And what is the sampling procedure? That is, it is probability sampling, non-probability sampling, or whatever it is. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sharul. Anita?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Sharul Islam. But this is a pilot study.
Pilot study. Go on.
So minimum. Wait.
But in your presentation slide just now, I saw the number. I think the number of respondents.
It's
right?
48.
Our minimum is 38. 30 participants is just enough, right?
Yes. You also mentioned, how do you arrive with that number with respect to the number of respondents that you want to get the data from?
Because the whole school sampling is around 48.
The whole school sampling is around 38. That's the number of teachers, right?
48.
That's the number of teachers, right?
Yes.
Number of teachers is 48. You take the sample 48, all of them.
Yes.
So the population is 48, the sample is 48.
Yes.
Okay. And the tool just now, like Sharul Islam was asking, what kind of tool that you're using, or method, or statistical method that you're using? I think I saw only mean standard deviation. That's a very basic, very basic statistical method. Any other method that you use, or any tools that you use? You use SPSS, for example, or
I think she just Dr. Safi, I think she just concentrating one school only. I think there is 37 the teachers.
Coming to that point.
Yes, exactly. It's only one Tamil Trust school in Johor.
Exactly. Right. So you took all the lecturers actually, teachers in that school.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. I also have one question also, not question basically. Of all the questionnaire, the finding which is you know that you get the lowest score is basically the giving recognition by the panel, right?
Yes.
Okay, giving recognition. Okay. Do you specifically mention what kind of recognition that that the teacher expect actually. There are many ways actually to recognize the effort and so on.
Yes,
But do
true.
you specifically mention or not to them?
Normally they depends on awards, marks, and recognize and curriculum, co-curriculum activities and all.
Yeah, they recognize by which way? You know, a letter of appreciation, or
Yes,
some bonus, you know, at the end of the year, or
bonus of
a gift from the
specific.
panel during the annual dinner or anything like that.
Yes. A gift from
Do you
for
mention specifically or not in the questionnaire?
so
Because recognition is very subjective actually.
yes.
Sometimes it's enough actually you give them a certificate to say that we appreciate your effort, and we thank you to you for your effort for this year. We hope you perform better next year and so on. You know, that's good enough to say sometimes.
Yes.
But I don't know exactly what kind of recognition that your
Even though it's not a kind of award or prizes, they can consider from their end of the year they can receive a certificate and a proper marks for their sometimes.
Okay. So I'm saying this is a good opportunity for you to expand your study further. Maybe next you can write another paper. You will have a better population instead from coming from one school. The population should come from all Tamil schools in Johor, for instance.
Wow.
Okay.
I'll try my
So you
level
have bigger
best.
population, and then you can expand also your study, and then you can include many other variables actually to
Thanks a lot.
your
Thanks a
study
lot.
actually. So it's a great opportunity also for you to write a future paper.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Thank you, Anita. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But before we proceed, I would like to mention that this conference is actually recorded. Okay. And then I will actually share the recording to all of you, and I will also publish the recording in the YouTube channel, so that you can always refer back to your presentation. You know, maybe can take you, maybe we can improve further, and so on and so forth. Okay. And then at some point taken some question, maybe you want to consider that you can still have time actually if you want to repair or so-called revise your paper, which you can do so as well. All right. So thank you. Next. Okay, I do not see Dani, so I will move forward. Dr. Burhan. Great. Dr. Burhan.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam, Dr. Burhan. I hope you are you're good and well.
Yeah, thank you, doctor.
So you're now from Istanbul, right?
Yes, Istanbul. Good morning from Istanbul as well.
It's
I
still
think
the
now
morning in Istanbul right now.
Yeah, 10 a.m. in the morning actually.
Yeah. And Turkey is actually one of the major destination tourism from Malaysia actually.
Yes.
The Malaysian love to go to Turkey actually, to Turkey.
Yes.
So I hope the same actually people from Turkey visit Malaysia as well.
Of course.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, you can go on now. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Assalamualaikum and good morning, or like good afternoon in Malaysia to everyone. So can you see my slides actually?
Yes. Can you put your slide in the presentation mode?
Yeah, I wait. Yeah, that's what I want to try. Wait, Doctor. Okay. So can you see now, Doctor?
I see your presentation, but not in presentation mode. It is in the editing.
Is moving now? No. I see.
Anita, can you unshare yours?
Yeah, maybe that is the reason. Yeah.
I can see your third slide.
Yes. I already unshared.
Okay, great.
Okay, let me check also. Okay, now it's okay, right, Doctor?
I see your third slide. First
Okay,
slide,
then it's okay. Wait, huh?
but in edit mode.
Yeah, I try. Then here, I don't know what's the problem. Usually I never face this problem. Okay.
But that is fine. I think, Doctor, you can just proceed, no problem.
No, okay, now can you see my slides as well or no?
I can see your slide.
Is moving or no?
It's not moving. I see your first slide, the cover page.
I
slide.
see. What happened? Allah. Okay, actually never happened this before. Share, new share. Okay, let me stop again. Let me share one more time, Doctor.
All right.
I don't know. I never faced this problem before. Share the screen. Okay, Windows. I'm sharing the Windows. Oh, now where is my slides now? Okay, wait, huh?
Another way, Doctor, actually you can save your file in PDF, and then you can show your PDF file to the screen. I think.
I see. Wait, Doctor, because it's the content is very important because I want to show the content.
Yes, of course.
It's okay. Let me save as a PDF. Okay, I did in PDF. Okay, now let me share the PDF one. Allah. No. Okay. Jewelry. Okay. Where is this? Micro African. Beauty IEF. Subhanallah. This is Shada. Can you bring your mother's laptop? No. Just wait.
Dr. Burhan, can I allow the presenter next after you to present first?
No, just 1 second. Okay, now
all right.
let me
No
try.
problem.
If not, then we can do that.
Okay.
Okay, we can do that. Okay, now it's just let me try this time. Okay. And now it should be okay. Yeah, now it's okay, I guess. Isn't it, Doctor?
Yeah, starting to screen now.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so sorry for the what they call technical problem. So I am Associate Professor Dr. Burhan Uluyol from Istanbul, Sabahat Nizam University. Actually, Malaysia is my second home because I spent my 12 years in Malaysia. I did my master in University of Malaya and a PhD from INSEF. And after that, I used to work University of Kuala Lumpur and also like IIUM, So meaning that is I spent 12 years of my life in Malaysia as well. 5 years ago, I came to Turkey. Now I'm here, associate professor in Islamic Economics and Finance. And also I'm attending this conference together with my co-author, Adel Azizoglu. Basically, he is my PhD students as well. So this is not a really empirical paper. This is more like theoretical paper. Let me show it to you what other common misunderstanding about Islamic economics and finance. Is Islamic finance just prohibition of interest? Or Islamic finance is just prohibition of certain things such as like alcohol, tobacco, pork, and so on and so forth. Is Islamic finance just about the Islamic contract, like mudaraba, musharaka, and so on and so forth? What are the other proposition of Islamic economics and finance, and how to convince the non-Muslim to accept the Islamic economics and finance, actually? So meaning that from these issues, you can see what are the issues, what are the objective, and what are the research questions as well, actually. So based on this, we are formulated some what they call is beauties of this. I call the beauties of Islamic finance or Islamic economics and finance, like to especially for the non-Muslim. Of course, prohibition of the riba is enough for the Muslim, but how to convince the non-Muslim to accept the Islamic economics and finance? So this will be one of the main issues as well. So what are the silent features of Islamic economics finance? Of course, the prohibition of riba. This is the one of the cornerstone of Islamic economics and finance. And also, we have to understand that the differences between riba and rate of the return. Many people confuse if is there any percentage in Islamic banking, or like for example Bank Muamalat, or like Bank Islam, or like any bank, they're giving the return, but some of them say it's the same. Or one of them, I mean, the conventional bank also give the return, but Islamic bank also give the return. But it's not true, actually. Later on, I will share with you why it's not true, actually. Because one of them is coming from selling money for money. Another one is coming from selling of the commodities, actually, or the financing rail and the sector. I will come back to these issues later. And also, Islamic finance is advocating to finance rail sector. As you know, now with COVID-19, all the world already realize, okay, how important the rail sector it is, especially the food, energies, and also the environment, and so on and so forth. So financing the rail sector is very important as well, rather than investing in the toxic asset. Toxic asset here referring to like financial derivative options, what they call, I mean, the structured products, and so on and so forth. So rather than investing in the toxic asset, Islamic finance is advocating to finance the rail sector, and also predetermined rate of return, as well as predetermined profit sharing ratios. So in the predetermined rate of interest, you just, I mean, what they call is just to determine how much the interest rate, 7%, 8%, 10%, and so on and so forth. So just to tell how much I have to give you. But predetermined profit sharing ratios, we have to tell how much we're going to share, like 30-70 or 50-50 or 60-40. We just to mention what will be their profit sharing ratios. So this will be one of the differences as well. And also the importance, sorry for the typo, it become importance of underlying asset in Islamic finance, because in conventional finance, underlying asset is not important at all. But in Islamic finance, there must be underlying asset as well, actually. And also the last but not least, the debt system, and also risk sharing system. As we know, the conventional financial system built based on the debt, okay, based on the debt, but Islamic finance advocating to share the risk as well, actually. So these are the silent features of Islamic economic finance. Then what are the proposition of Islamic economic finance? The advocates of Islamic finance argue that Islamic finance is better positioned due to the specific features of Islamic economics and finance. For example, the first one is limit of debt securitization. After that, I will explain one by one, actually. Ethical and ratio screenings, exclusion of financial sector, exclusion of highly leveraged and firm, as well as limit of interest-based leverage, and also exclusion of complex and incentive structural financial products, derivative, or other toxic assets, actually. So these are the what they call the advocates of Islamic finance argue that Islamic finance is better positions due to these features. So it's true or not? Let's check one by one. So I call the beauties of Islamic finance. I try to share with you, the audience, like 6 beauties of Islamic finance, actually. First one, role of the money. This is one of the important thing. I mean, to distinguish as well role of the money Islamic economics as well as in the conventional economics as well. Money is medium of exchange, and versus money is asset. In the conventional financial system, money is asset, selling money for fixed interest payment or tradable commodity. So meaning that in the conventional financial system, money treated as asset. In the Islamic economic system, money is medium of exchange, only facilitating our transactions. Let's say I want to sell to you something, or I want to deliver to some service. So meaning that, it's just facilitating our transaction, selling goods and the services via the money. So meaning that is money is medium of exchange, not the asset itself. So this is differences between conventional and financial system. Mufti Muhammad Taqi Osmani stated in his paper presented in annual meeting of World Economic Forum in 2010 in the Vegas. At Vegas said, diverting money from its basic and function as medium of exchange and make it itself as object of the trade that turned the whole economy into balance of the debt and our debt. So meaning that from here you can see also the differences between medium of exchange as well as what they call is the asset as well. So the current problem with the current traditional capitalist monetary system is that takes the money as tradable commodity, and the role of the medium of exchange has been almost neglected. So the Islamic view of the money is that money is that medium of exchange and not tradable commodity. So the real economy will not gain any benefit from trade of the money. The accumulation of the money will create concentration of the wealth and cause more disparities and inequalities in the distribution of the wealth in any societies. So if the money doesn't circulate in the economy, then it doesn't encourage the economic activity. Not in shall, money in Islamic economic system is considered as means of the transaction and the medium of exchange. Islamic economic finance encouraging profit and loss sharing rather than the trading the money as commodity. So this is the beauty one of Islamic economics and finance. Now the second one, limiting of debt securitization. Debt securitization, one of the main causes of the global financial crisis, started in August 2007, is the securitization. The crisis began with the real estate market in the USA, but soon spread to all over the world. So allowing the debt securitization, what will happen? Financial system will be more vulnerable, leading to the crisis. How about Islamic economics and finance? Islamic economics finance discouraging debt securitization. Saiti and Abdullah cited that even among the jurists, lack of the consensus, acceptability of selling that to the third party actually. So limiting the debt securitization, financial system will be more vulnerable and preventing the crisis. So what is securitization? As you know, in Malaysia especially, for example, they're packaging the long-term debt and they sell to Chagamas. Then the Chagamas will be issued the ABS as well. Now meaning that, what they call is the banking the sell asset to the third party. So in Islamic finance, not encouraging to sell that to the third party actually. Even though in Turkey, the Islamic finance not strong, but not allowed to sell any debt, including the conventional banking, not to sell that to the third party. Basically, there is no mortgage corporation like Chagamas in Turkey to buy this, what they call is housing debt or the higher purchase and the debt actually. So basically is Islamic finance also encouraging not to sell that to third party actually. So this will be one of the problem. Now, the third beauties of what they call is IEF, Islamic economic finance, financing the real sector rather than financial sector. The main focus is, what they call is financial asset growth. Conventional banks only focus on financial asset growth. So meaning that they just want to see the numbers. Merely financial intermediaries, financial sector and the real sector is diverging, leading to financial crisis as well. How about Islamic economics and finance? CAF 2010 argued that Islamic bank is supposed to be not just mere financial intermediaries, they should support the development of the real sector. For example, in Turkey, I mentioned as well, even though Islamic finance is small, but all Islamic banks is supporting the real economy or supporting the rail and the sector, so that the humanity can get benefit from that financing. So by this way, the gap between the financial sector and the rail sector development can be narrowed. We cannot say completely is eliminated, no, but it can be narrowed. So let's look at this figure. This is, I mean, the red color is the what they call the financial sector. I mean, what they call is the black color is the rail sector. You can see the, I mean, what they call is, this is according to which year data actually. Let me check, until 2011, yeah, until 2010. Okay, this is happening in 2010 actually. So meaning that is the financial sector is moving very fast, but the rail sector is not, I mean, moving, but very and slowly actually. So the gap between the financial sector and the rail sector is very huge. So what we call Islamic economics and finance is encouraging, I mean, to narrow the gap between financial sector and the rail sector. So this is, I call, the third beauties of Islamic economics finance. Now, number 4, limiting of excessive money supply. As you know, as what they call the finance person, they know actually low central bank reserve ratios. There is no international standard or to limit how much the banks to keep the ratios with the central banks. The central banks are free to set, you see, free to set the reserve ratios. If this ratio is small, the banks can create more money. Put differently, increase nation's money supply. It's quite alarming that private banks is creating 97% of the money. You can imagine they're creating 97% of the money, but only the 3% is created by the government, or that's called sovereign and the money. This is Bramhall and 2014. So money expansion, credit expansion, it's leading to credit crisis as well. This is in the case of conventional finance. Now let's look at Islamic concern finance. There are several suggestions from Islamic finance. For example, Siddiqui 2008 made a suggestion that profit loss sharing can be replaced bank rate and the policies. Or the Hassan 2008 argued that Islamic banks should keep higher reserve ratios, for example, like the 20%. But of course, there is no justification for 20% as well. Çizakça in 2000, this is a Turkish historian as well. Çizakça 2011 argued that there is 100% reserve requirement for demand deposit and no reserve requirement for investment and the deposit actually. So basically is many Islamic economists actually suggesting the different ways how to limit the excessive money and supply. So if you're limiting the money supply, there will be limiting credit expansion. Then after that is limiting credit crisis as well. So this is like 4 beauties of Islamic economics and finance. Now I try to call number 5. Beauties of, number 5, the roles in infrastructure financing and the public borrowing. One of the beautiful example I give to my student is how the Malaysia escaped the financial crisis in 1998. In the 1998, after the financial crisis, most of the countries borrow from IMF, but only the country didn't borrow from IMF is Malaysia. Malaysia is what they call the issue the first sovereign sukuk or the government sukuk to raise money from the public actually, or they borrow from and the public and the borrowings actually. So number 5. And so I try to show as well. I mean, this part is a little bit longer, but I try to limit my presentation as well because of the time constraint actually. So the financing development infrastructure remain challenge for developing economies. So infrastructure project is typically requiring heavy upfront and investment. Funding either foreign borrowing, like from China, for example, or from IMF, okay, or bring the private partner who can help raise the funds actually. So many nations is hit very high level of the debt. Okay, so this is true for all the nations. So unlike private equities, which can raise funding through either debt or equities, but the government cannot issue equities. Okay, so debt financing is often alternative. Okay, if there will be more debt, increase the leverage, and also debt capacity is very high as well. So it's bringing many issues such as macro vulnerability, risk, rate of risk, contagion, and also like currency exposures as well. So these are the consequences of more debt and financing. So Sukuk alternative, for example, the world is facing level of the debt, not much room for no more and debt funding. Rising interest rate environment posing a serious problem for the concern of already very high built up in debt actually. Equity financing is not option for the government, very expensive. So they need to explore solution without the leverage and to move away from our reliance on the debt. So meaning that we have to not rely on more debt, we should, to move actually. So I don't want to read this part actually, but what I want to say here is Baka, Ubaidullah Isma Baka, for example, in Morocco, in order to fund the development infrastructure, most of the Muslim countries suffer from external debt. So these are the issues actually. Okay, these are the issues. They argue that the recent innovation of the Sukuk Islamic bond can be reduced such external borrowing, leverage, and vulnerability. This part also I will skip. This is the principle of Islamic finance. This is the project and the features. So they perfectly matching and each other. So that the Sukuk can be one of the options actually. For example, this one, I want to show this one very briefly. I hope that moderator can give me a 2 or 3 minute extra. I hope that actually. So for example, the government is need to determine how much the fund is needed. Okay, and they need it. For example, they can issue 10-year convertible istisna mudaraba sukuk. Okay, for example, this first 3 years is like construction period, and this is like revenue generating and the period. So I call like 1 period, 2 period, and also end of the 10 years actually. So what will happen? First and the 3 years, the government is providing the land because the government is the owner of the land. The land is belong to the government, so they can pledge the land, and also the sukuk holders they can they give the money. So meaning that sukuk holders is providing the money as well. So the money is to build the project. For example, now is Canal Istanbul is one of the famous and the story in the Islamic world as well. For example, in Turkey is they want to do Canal Istanbul. So in order to do Canal Istanbul, they need the money. So the government can provide the money, sukuk holders they can providing the, government providing the land, sukuk holders providing the money, then the project is, they can build the project. The first 3 years, for example, I'm just giving as example. Then after 4 years later, this project is able to generate the revenue. Then this money can be shared between government as well as the sukuk holders as well. Then what will happen after 10 years later, for example, what they call is we can go for IPOs. So sukuk holders has option to take the money or the cash, the stock or the cash, and they must return the sukuk. Meaning that you have option to take the stocks or you have option to take the cash. The government also same, they have option to take the cash or they have option to take the stocks as well. So meaning that it becomes public listed company. After IPOs, then it becomes listing companies. Then the government received the annual dividend and the shareholders is, sharing the annual dividend as well. So this is one of my proposal as well, or I call beauties of Islamic economic finance. Last but not least, this is the last one, doctor. Just give me 2 or 3 minutes. I will to wrap up my presentation. So the roles in the stock market, I already mentioned in the bond. Now we come to the stock market. According to literature, of course, I didn't show here which literature, but in my full paper, inshallah, I will show the literature. The main causes of the stock market crash: excessive leverage, speculation, investing in a toxic financial asset, and among the others. So Sharia compliant stocks, as I said just now, I mentioned, these are what they call is the elements has to be eliminated from what they call is the from the to be considered as Sharia compliant and stocks. Actually, this one I don't want to read one by one. And also limiting excessive debt leverage. This is the important one actually, because most of the index providers like Dow Jones, Mizan Pakistan, Security Commission of the Malaysia, FTSE Sharia Index, S&P Sharia Index, all of them is educating the debt of the companies must be less than 33%, except the Pakistan. So meaning that, what's the purpose of, for example, I have 100,000, for example, but 100,000, 90,000 is belong to the others, meaning that I'm indebted guy, meaning that I don't have the money. So in order to avoiding this problem, so I mean, they are saying that the companies must have, like, the debt must be less than 33%. So meaning that here they're limiting the excessive debt and the leverage by the companies actually. So the conclusion will be, in the case of Islamic banking, Islamic banks advocating limit of debt securitization, high reserve ratios, and the financing of the rail sector, rather than just move financial intermediaries. Therefore, it can reduce the vulnerability of financial system. In the case of Sukuk project can be designed to be the way that financier to the partners, not just the lenders, and allowing risk to be shared among the parties. And the Islamic stocks are better positioned due to the specific features of Islamic stocks, such as ethical and ratio screening, exclusion of the financial sector, exclusion of the highly leveraged companies, the limit of interest-based leverage, and finally, exclusion of using the complex and incentive structure financial products and derivative and the other toxic and asset. So that will be end of my presentation. Thanks for your patience. This is some selected references of my presentation. Thank you. I open to what they call the flow to the Q&A session. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Burhan. Very, very extensive and very comprehensive research on Islamic economic finance. Yes, you have provided a lot of details actually related to this research. Before I ask questions, actually, I have some question to you, but maybe I should open first to the rest of the floor. Any one of you have any interesting thing to ask to Dr. Burhan?
Yes, Prof. Thank you, Dr. Burhan. Thank you very much. It's a very nice topic, and it is a very crucial topic nowadays, because Islamic finance all over the world are struggling, I think, because most of the Muslim countries, they didn't follow the Islamic finance in the 100%. So first question is that, why do you choose the non-Muslims to convince the Islamic finance? Because most of the Muslim countries are not following the Islamic finance. So why non-Muslims are interested to follow the Islamic finance and economics? Thank you.
Thank you. What they call is Shahrul, Dr. Shahrul actually. What I want to say here is, as you know, especially in Malaysia, actually, many non-Muslims also participating in Islamic finance as well. But of course, I mean, one of the main reason is what they call is higher return as well. I mean, higher return compared to the conventional banks as well. Islamic banks can provide little bit extra return compared to the conventional banks actually. So this is one of the main reason why the non-Muslim also participating what they call Islamic finance as well. And also like in Italy, for example, I'm collaborating one of the universities in Italy, like Turin University. Actually, there are a few professors, and they're non-Muslim professors, but they're every year they're conducting conferences for Islamic finance, and also they are doing many things for Islamic finance as well. I think their main intention is because of just now I mentioned the 4 different perspectives. One of them is limiting the debt securitization, limiting the excessive leverage, and also what they call is the most important thing is financing the rail sector. As you know, what they call in Italy as well, what they call is olive oil, for example, the huge production of olive oil, for example, they need financing for that. So I mean, what they call is they try to get some finance from some like what they call not Islamic bank, because there is no Islamic in Turkey, like corporations actually, to finance this one actually. So basically is one of the benefit will be financing the rail sector rather than the financial sector actually. So that's why if we financing the rail sector, we can benefit from that financing. For example, I told you just now as well, even in Turkey, Islamic finance is just 6 to 7% of the total asset, but they're providing the rail sector. Like if you look, check their balance sheet actually of many of Islamic banks in Turkey, or they didn't call Islamic banks, they call participation banks actually. They're financing energies, or financing what they call the wind energies. They financing the renewable energies, for example, or they're financing the food sector. They're financing the health sector actually. What they call is they're financing the rail sector, so that we can get from some tangible benefit from what we are financing actually. That's why some non-Muslim also interested for Islamic finance because of that reasons as well. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you
Burhan.
very
Thank
much.
you. Any other question, Sharul?
No, thank you, Prof. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else? Good. I have some small question for you, Dr. Burhan. Actually, in the sukuk, you just mentioned about sukuk. Can you hear me?
Yes, doctor.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
I'm
Yeah.
listening.
You give us an example just now about how the government actually want to raise the money for example, is infrastructure development, right? So one of it is basically raising the sukuk. So the sukuk is basically the government normally don't have money, but the government have lands, plenty of lands, right?
Yes.
And the lands are actually pledged or guaranteed as a guarantee. Yeah.
Exactly.
Raise the sukuk, and sukuk is normally raised, issued by the bank, right?
Actually, yeah, trustees, the banks usually helping to bring to the market, actually, investment banks especially.
Right. So you mentioned at the first 4 years where the infrastructure taking place, of course, the whole system is not making money yet. And then when the project completed, and then it start generating income and so on, until in your example, actually, on the 10th year, actually, you move the project into IPO. Basically,
Mashallah, you are listening very well and also understanding well. Mashallah.
So, but what happened to the land actually that was pledged earlier by the government?
As I said just now, they will get back the stocks. I mean, in the company, let's say, of course, at the land, the government has the major share in that. Actually, you got the point or not? What they call is like permanently is if, let's say, the company, as long as holding the stocks, so the shares in the land is still remain the maintain, actually, both in the land and also in the project as well. Actually, you got the point or not?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So let's say government is holding 70% shares, for example, meaning that all the project and the land together, the government has what they call is that 70% shares in that actually.
Okay.
So that's why actually you are asking very good question. Actually, there is one of the problem in the 2001 Malaysian government sukuk. Actually, there is one Sharia problem. Actually, that's why many Sharia scholars is criticizing. And actually, but to me it's okay because Malaysia achieved economic objective, but it is that the small issues. Actually, what happened in Malaysia, they issued like 6 years the sukuk, the government giving the land, then the sukuk holders giving the money, and after the 5 years later, government buy back the land actually. So basically, this is just like you sell and buy back. Sell and buy back is like bay al-ina actually. So this is opening what we call the hila in Islamic finance. So many, as you know, just now, as you mentioned as well, like Bank Negara, like many the banks actually follow this one. They just sell the asset and the buyback. Actually, the purpose is not to sell the land, but they want to raise the money actually. So this is the one of the problem actually. So that's why, in order to avoid this problem, we are just what they call is not to buy back. I mean, you will have the shares in that land or in that project, so that as long as the government shares remain, let's say 60 or 70%. So meaning that your ownership is still remain there actually, Doctor. Thank you for the good question.
Right. And another thing, maybe I just seek your opinion basically about so-called Islamic banking and finance in Malaysia. Is it different or is it similar with Islamic banking and finance in, for instance, in the Gulf states and also in Turkey?
No, actually, in my opinion, the Gulf and the Malaysia is more or less and similar. In my opinion, one of them is using most of the product they're using by Alina, but what they call in the Gulf they're using Tawar, for example. I think is both of them to me like Hila or like legal device actually. So basically is I mean there are two parties or three parties. Your intention is just to get the money actually, not you just ignore the financial the rail sector actually, or like you are ignoring what they call is the tangible outcome of and that project or that financing actually. But in Turkey is I'm surprised actually, doctor. This is I'm not just speaking out of my emotion. No, I checked the balance sheet as well actually, because if you check the balance sheet of like Malaysia, for example, there will be Tawaro, there will be like BBA, there will be by Al Ina, but not showing where to finance this money actually. But in Turkey, they just to tell how many percent they use for energy, how many percent for like landing, how many percent for housing. I mean, very detailed. Basically, is like more than 40% of the money Islamic Bank go to the rail sector. Actually, you may surprise some what they call the quiet truth in Turkey, for example. They have like wind energy companies, for example. So they're financing the rail sector, so that is creating something tangible benefit for the humanities altogether, doctor. So meaning that, okay, in the beginning of my presentation, I mentioned to you, to all the audience actually, the differences between interest and rate of return. Basically, in Gulf or like in Malaysia, still, I mean, selling money for money. You sell and buy back. You sell and buy back. You sell and buy back. You look at the most of the contract, if they're using this one actually. Okay, so that it is still what they call this. I consider as, I mean, the money is become like, the financial numbers is become the priority. But in Turkey is no. I mean, even though that's why it's small, they cannot grow because it's risky as well. And also, what they call is, I came to Turkey like 5 years ago. Islamic banks never charging any fees for transferring your money, or whatever you do. I never pay anything, or you never receive any rate as well, unless you put your money as investment deposit. If you put as investment deposit, yes, you will receive. But as like saving deposit, last 5 years, I never received any something. I transfer to any bank in Turkey. They are not charging any fees as well, actually. So basically, is here is even though the small, one thing is the the importance of the rail sector. Is very important. That's why in Turkey is now very good in energies, because there is demand from the Europe as well because of the energy crisis in Europe. Or energy crisis in Ukraine, for example. That's why Turkey is establishing many wind on energy companies. They're exporting to, all those and the nations. Actually, all those is financing is coming from mostly from the Islamic banks, doctor. That's for your, I'm just my sharing with you, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Burhan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do we have any question or comment from the rest? Any more?
Yeah, inshallah, it's nice actually. I like the way this conference is conducting, doctor. I will share with my students as well in the future.
Thank you for that. We try, we try to give opportunities to everyone. I think the more we have in terms of participating.
I think I met you in Malaysia, but I don't. You are in the UTM or?
I was in the UTM, and then I was doing my PhD in UUM. But during your time, I'm not sure whether you still remember Dr. Fisal.
Yes, Fisal. Yes, of course.
Dr. Fisal is my Dr. Fisal is my neighbor.
Oh, mashallah. Say salam to him. Say salam
Inshallah,
to him.
inshallah. He's no longer with INSAFE. He's with the
Yeah, I know.
University of Reading School,
Yes, yeah,
School.
reading. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
No, actually, when I was in Malaysia, he already moved to there. Actually, I know
Okay,
him
okay, all
very
right, all
well.
right. You still keep in touch with him?
He's nice man. Yeah. Say salam to him.
Inshallah,
Okay,
inshallah,
thank you.
inshallah. When I meet him,
I don't
yes.
want to take the time of the other presenters as well. Thanks for the longer time given to me. Thank you. And also, inshallah, if you come to Turkey, anyone, please let me know. My email address, I will write to you. If anything, we can collaborate in the future as well.
Good, great,
Actually,
great.
I want to conclude my presentation. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That is my end of my presentation.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice presentation from Dr. Burhan. Okay, now I invite the next one. Dani, are you in? Dani is not in, unfortunately. So after Dr. Burhan, we'll have Saudara Muhammad Hilmi.
Yes.
You ready, Hilmi?
Yeah.
Okay, go on. Take the floor.
All right.
I can see now.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, Dr. Shafiq Mangir.
Yes.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone. And of course, to all participants of the conference. Actually, I'm Hilmi from University of Malaya. And today I will be presenting the paper entitled Female-Headed Households and Poverty in Malaysia. I understand that I have 10 to 15 minutes, yeah, Doctor?
Yeah, try to.
I try to make it 10 minutes because this only. Yeah, sure. The presentation outline consists of 4 sections. The first section is introduction. The introduction about who is actually the female-headed household and the relation with poverty. So to focus of the female-headed household and poverty, the first is the plight of female-headed household varies across country. Second is actually the consequences of female-headed household are likely to depend on the socioeconomic condition, which is in this consideration socioeconomic and demographic condition. And then the second section, methodology, material and method. Number 3, results and discussion. Actually, these paper are actually part of the finding from program Basmi Kemiskinan Tegak, eradicating of hardcore poor, funded by the economic planning unit Malaysia, and of course Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur di BKL. Okay. So the result and discussion, I will present the respondent profile and of course the socioeconomic background, and of course followed by the contributory factors to poverty among household headed by females, and then conclusion. Okay, so we proceed with the introduction. This is very worldwide acceptable, defined by the United Nations 2020. Women, senior citizen, people with disabilities, and poor people are among the vulnerable groups. And the household headed by female consists of women who are actually never married or divorced, separated, spouse death, domestic violence, and widowhood that responsible as income producer or income earner. So these are actually it's actually already discussed by Evans et al., Javed and Ashif 2011, and of course Michael 2010. So the first consideration of the study is actually the plight of female-headed household varies across country. So for Malaysia, female-headed household in Malaysia often face considerable disadvantage relative to male counterparts with monthly median income below MYR 1929 or below $459. This is actually the current survey done by UNICEF in 2020, actually the early stage of the pandemic. And then these are actually contributed to the increase of risk of poverty among women, as well as household headed by female. But disadvantage depends on the society they live in. For instance, in this case study, actually we are actually do pre-research actually in 4 different locality, urban areas, which is in PPR Lembah Pantai, Kerinci, PPR Desa Rejang, which is located in Star Park, then another one, the PPR Taman Mulia Bandar Razak. So there are actually 3 different localities. So the consideration is, in the absence of effective policies, their situation is likely to depend on the socio-economic deprivation applying to female-headed household following the role as sole breadwinner. The second consideration is the consequences of female-headed household are likely to depend on the socio-economic condition. So the focus on Malaysia, because poverty among female-headed household in Malaysia are actually a grave concern. So government has tabled the Rancangan Malaysia ke-12, the 12th Malaysia Plan, and then come out with the UNICEF survey. They revealed that 57% of employed female-headed household in Malaysia are actually not protected with employment insurance. I can say that as social protection. So they are actually vulnerable to poverty because of lack of social protection. So supported by evidence of past literature found that female-headed households are actually vulnerable to income and low-skilled employment coupled with multiple role as income producer. So they are actually become a main income sources, the decision maker of the household, and of course the obligation to taking care of their children and families. So these are actually have been proved by a number of researchers such as Brown and Van der Waal 2021, or even Evans in 2016, and of course Milazzo and Van der Waal in 2015. Therefore, working in less productive sector with little social protection and low wages, they are actually further exacerbated the concentration of poverty among female-headed households. Therefore, the concern of this research actually, we are actually looking poverty rate among female-headed households is increasing, income inequality remain a challenge, and progress in alleviating poverty is incremental and extensive. Therefore, the impetus of this paper to gain a deeper understanding on the occurrence of poverty among Malaysian female-headed households. Therefore, given that all else being equal, the first one, large literature and extensive debate on female-headed household and poverty. So the rise of the poor is best described as concentration of poverty because poverty is beyond income dimension. It's actually involved non-income dimension. Thus, what are the problems faced by the female-headed household in Malaysia? So overall, the aim of this study to examine the contributory factors of poverty among female-headed household in Malaysia. So we proceed with the methodology. So these are actually the material and method we are using in this study. For example, the data collection, we are selecting 7 female-headed households from 3 different PPR using the purposive sampling technique. So the purpose of using this sampling technique is actually to gain understanding of the situation experienced by female-headed household, and of course to reveal the unheard voices of female-headed household about the process that link them into poverty, and of course in natural setting, which are not being reported, which are very difficult to be reported in the National Household Survey. And of course, we are very difficult to define using the quantitative approach. So that's the reason the method of data collection for this study, we are using a multiple qualitative approach, in-depth interview and observation. And the interview was conducted using face-to-face interview, and some respondents using the phone call interview. We are using for data analysis, we are using a thematic content analysis because we want to identify what are the contributory factors of among female-headed household. I mean, the contributory factors of poverty among female-headed household. So we are using 2 techniques, 2 approaches for data verification. Of course, first, the data authenticity. The use of data authenticity is to authenticate the finding that we use. For example, we're using the resident association to enhance the data credibility. And of course, data authenticity helps us to create the sense of trust between the respondent and of course the researcher, as well as this allows the respondent to express their living condition. And the second approach, we are actually using data, the trustworthiness of data analysis, which is the data coding and analysis were conducted by, of course, were performed by the researcher. We have a number of researchers in the team, and we are actually appointed the expert in the we appointed gender expert to do a dependability check whether the factors that we are actually found out from the study is actually accurate, linked to poverty, and reflect they actually reflect to the past literature. Therefore, there are two expected outcomes from this study. Is actually one, the factors underpinning the concentration of poverty among female-headed households, and of course, problem faced by female-headed households in the country. So basically, these are actually the respondent profile. So we have a 7 household head. So you can see that the average age actually 43.7 years old. So you can see the level, the occupational level are actually, they are working in less productive sector. Of course, the highest income is 4,000 and the lowest is 1,270, but the average monthly income is all about 2,204, is actually below the poverty line. The existing, the 2019 poverty line is 2,208. However, 2,208 for a household living in urban area is slightly lower, and actually we are actually denying the quality living standard. So, but however, this is contra off with the expenses. You can see that the average expenses for the household head, the respondent, is actually 1,674 monthly, with the household size 4.3. So we find out based on the thematic analysis, there are actually 3 main factors that contribute to the concentration of poverty among female-headed households. The first one is actually the low educational level. Second, the household structure, because most of the respondents are actually, they are having large household size. They're living with the aging parents. And of course, they also are actually, some of them living with intergenerational household. They have, they're living with their mother-in-law and of course their father-in-law. And some of them are actually living with the extended family, that actually increase the risk of poverty. The second is external factors, rising cost of living. Rising cost of living is really affected their condition because they are having low income level, meaning that the available income is not enough to cover the monthly cost, especially in the urban area. That's the reason appeared the escalation cost of living. And the third one is actually the public transportation fares. The increase in the public transportation fares are actually contributed to poverty among female-headed household. They are actually the factors. Then, and the last side is on the right side is the issues. For example, the low educational level, you can see that the type of work is actually in the less productive sector. This is actually contributed to the limited access to better employment prospect. Of course, when we are talking about poverty, either among female-headed household or poverty in general, access to education is remain vital for poverty eradication. And of course, the type of work are actually influenced by the level of education and the certificate they are actually have, which most of them are actually just completed their primary school, or even some of them are actually drop out from the school as early as 9 to 10 years old. So the most interesting part is actually female-headed household in Malaysia, especially in the urban area, most of them are actually living with large household structure. For instance, regardless, they are actually having the monthly income, the per capita consumption, per head consumption was high because most of their household members are actually not working or unemployed. So these are actually increase their burden. And of course, they are actually these are actually contributed to the additional challenges. The available income is limited, while they are actually having so many responsibilities, not only the as an income producer, but they need to look after of their children, their mother-in-law, their 6 father-in-law, and of course, etc. And then the second, the household structure, second household structure pattern is the aging parent. One of the interesting finding is that one of the respondent, as I mentioned in female-headed household 6, they are actually having monthly income 2,300, but 50% of her income is actually fully used for personal loan and medical expenses for their parents. So she had experienced a difficulty to keep afloat financially between the responsibility towards her parent and support herself, which not only required a strong financial capacity, but also they are actually affected with strong emotional and physical support because they don't have enough money. They are not married, but they are actually having responsibility to taking care of their aging parents.
Mhm.
And then I think the phrase, hold on. Okay. It's pause, is it? Oh, okay. This is, I think, the last 2 slides. They are also, I mean, the contributory factors, among female-headed household and poverty is linked with the intergenerational household. And of course, they are actually living with extended family. So, for instance, female-headed household 7, this is one of, the respondent in PPR Kerinci. She actually has a skill in tailoring, and of course she's receiving a financial assistance from the government, zakat. However, they are actually not able to sustain their living because the responsibility in extended family to have not made her financially better, because a lot of things they need to over as a as a household head. Or even one of them in Desirejang is actually, of course, in Kuala Lumpur area. They receive monthly support, 200 from the Department of Social Welfare, but the financial burden has outweighed the income and welfare support obtained by them actually. And then the third factor is actually rising cost of living. We can see that low income level versus escalation cost of living, because 3 out of 7 respondents remarked the available income is not sufficient to cover the basic expenses. As we can see, this cost of living inflation is going on. This research is conducted in 2021, end of December. So we can see what happened the post-pandemic, the impact much more significant. We can see that the stagflation is already coming, increase in the price, unemployment is rising. So we can see that the burden they are actually experiencing now is more than what we expected, which are actually difficult to covered by the national survey. So, for example, we can see that the increase of the public transportation fares, we can see that 2 out of 7 respondents expressed their concern about the increase of public transport fares. We can see that most of the public housing developed by the government are actually, they are built up in the city, close or nearby to the city center, for example, in PPR Kerinci. However, the circle of the surrounding nearby with the Bangsa South and Bangsa Link, which are actually the T20, or they are actually surrounded with surrounded with I can say that the elite area is maybe the best time is elite area. So there has actually a lot of village grocers, Starbucks there. I mean, like the premium item, which are actually mismatched with their income. So they need to travel to from PPR Kerinci, they need to travel to Subang Jaya just for sake of buying the groceries. They are so they need to spend additional of 20 ringgit for taxi or Grab. So that's the reason the development of the PPR sometimes affect the psychological part of the household head. So the rising cost of living, of course, become one of the contributory factors and contribute to poverty among female-headed households. So the conclusion, these are actually a brief conclusion because this study just conducted 6 to 7 months ago. So data from the study showed that the low educational level and the structure of the household and rising cost of living have contributed to the occurrence of poverty among female-headed household. And this factor were found to be interrelated, which low educational level cause the concentration of poverty because they are actually working in less productive sector. So we are actually trying to expanding this study by looking at the relationship between poverty, education, and women in the urban localities, and of course the rising cost of living. The rising cost of living, of course, reduce the capability of female-headed household to sustain a living because the available income was not sufficient to manage the multiple challenges of poverty. So we believe that poverty is multidimensional. It's not only involve income, but of course, emotional, psychological well-being, and etc. So this study actually brought to light that the proliferation of poverty among female-headed households are more visible with the COVID-19 pandemic, which we are actually already conducted post survey last January. So we are waiting actually the finding pre and post. So regardless of the number relevant policy that have been formulated by the government, so we can see that the increase, the increase, I mean, like the risk of poverty, living in poverty among female-headed households are actually high. So this pre-finding actually almost similar to study by Yosfi Labni actually in Iran and Kwon and Kim in South Korea. Both research are conducted during the pandemic. So the pattern and the trend of poverty relationship between poverty and female-headed also are quite similar. And then the implication for this study suggests that we need a multi-pronged initiative must be considered. The multiple means like we've provided the financial support, but at the same time, the most important, we need to create more opportunity, especially the sustainable job. If we provide the cash assistance, it's the short-term solution. What we need is a sustainable job so that they can actually maintain their standard of living, especially in the urban areas. And of course, we really need a capacity building initiative and community-based work that brings several agencies, government, NGO, and industry to work collaborative to address these issues. And for future, I think that is very important to have action-based research because we can go to the ground and look what happened post-pandemic. Of course, we are actually back to normal. I mean, new normal, but we still, I think that the prediction incident of poverty could be actually higher as reported by the government in 2021, 8.4%. With that, I think, yeah, this is references for this study. With that, I will end my presentation. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Muhammad Hilmi. Thank you very much.
All
okay, right. It's also a very interesting subject, a well-researched study. Congratulations. Quite elaborate and comprehensive as well. I have also some comment and not comment, basically just to add some point to your research perhaps. But before that, I would like to open to the rest of the floor. If you have any questions or you have any comment, anything at all related to Hilmi's presentation just now.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much for your nice presentations. And, it is a very interesting topic, I think. So just one thing I want to know, basically, do you have any statistics to perspective in Malaysia, those who are female-headed family? So any statistics first. Second, how select your respondent or interviewer? Do you have any any criteria that match the respondent criteria? Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Shahrul. The first question about the statistics of female-headed household in Malaysia. Of course, it's not updated, but the recent one is the recent statistics in 2017. We have about 54,000. This is updated by the Ministry of Women. I mean the KW, it's not Ministry of, this is Economic Planning Unit, 55,000 numbers of female-headed household as of 2017. Okay, then the recent survey conducted by UNICEF in 2020, they able to interview about 30,000 only. So I think the number are actually more, it's actually higher as compared to the one reported in 2017. Okay, the second question is about sampling. So this study are actually using the purposive sampling because the data we collected from data ICASE. Data ICASE is actually the data developed by the Economic Planning Unit itself. They have a number of hard copper. As of 2020, we have about 21,000 hard copper. So the total hard copper, we select 10% from that. It's about 2,000. Then 2,000 of hard copper household head. Then we are actually select randomly in 4 different PPR, the public housing, because we are actually given authority by the EPU, the Economic Planning Unit, to select the respondent. The selection of the respondent, of course, we are not looking at income. Income, of course, is the main indicator. But the other factors of using the purposive sampling, we are discussing with the resident association because we try to quantify the level of vulnerability for each female, for each household headed by female. For example, we have a 10, but we will do a pre-interview with 10 of them. Then we will define the state level 1, level 2. We classify them with level 1, level 2, up to level 3. Level 1 meaning that they don't have income, but they have a welfare support from the government. Second, they have income, they receive the welfare support, but less than poverty line 2208. The level 3 is actually, they have income, they are not receive any support, but they are not married. The consideration, they are actually women. This is to reflect the consideration given by the United Nations, definition by the United Nations in 2020.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shahrul.
Muhammad Hilmi, yeah.
Yes, doctor.
Imagine you did your research and you get the finding based from 7 respondents, right?
7.
Yes, and you can extract so much information from 7 respondents. And I believe the feedback provided by these respondents well, almost cover basically the issues that's probably the challenges that probably being faced by the remaining, 54,000.
Yes.
Perhaps by now it is probably more
Yes,
so
correct.
because of the COVID-19 pandemic effect and so on. 2017 the number was 54,000. Maybe 2023 probably 100,000 by now.
More than, yes, correct.
So, but the information that we have gotten from this 7 looks very comprehensive, and I think it's also representative in most cases, reflecting the remaining of those people, like the female-headed household that you mentioned. So this problem is, I would say, is generic in the sense that the problem that they have, the issues that they face, the challenges that they mention, are also similar.
Yeah, correct.
With the other FHA, so-called.
Yes.
Yeah? So with that, I thank you very much because you have this information. And then you also mentioned in your presentation about action research.
Yeah.
Yes. Why do you think that action research is more appropriate to further the study of this research?
Okay. Thank you, Doctor. This is quite very good question. First, of course, the action research, they involve a process. One, the process is taking action. So the researcher, they need to mapping the poor first. They need to map the poor. Mapping the poor means you can map the poor based on the locality, different locality. This is we call as a desktop research by the researcher. It comes with the action when the researcher took over through qualitative investigation, face-to-face interview or phone call interview. Okay, that's the interview. After the interview, using the qualitative approach is actually a unidimensional. So to confirm or to probe that rising cost of living is really affected the female-headed household and poverty, to prove that the household structure influence poverty and female-headed household, and we can see the link between education and poverty, we need a quantitative analysis. We have some sets of variable, which is we need to set the which currently in my study we are proposing a regression analysis. We just want to see that the relationship between poverty, independent variable, and the set of other factors that we found out through qualitative studies, and it come action based when the evaluation we turn out into the policy paper we propose to the government. For instance, of course, the poverty line, we can see that the poverty line 2000 to 2208 is already increased. Of course, people believe that increase in the poverty line, increase in the number of poor. But the most important, increase in the poverty line, you are actually increase the likelihood of the poor. I mean, the number of people becoming poor are actually increasing when you increase the poverty line, but you are not increasing the, I mean, like the wage, the salaries and wages. So these are actually different. The one view, you increase the poverty line to improve the well-being, but the wages and salaries is ceteris paribus, is unchanged. So you just put pressure to the people. You know, I can share that something that is very interesting, which is I have conducted research in Turkey in last July. I go to Sivas. They are actually measuring poverty using food.
Wow, doctor, you came to Sivas. Wow, okay.
Yes, they are Sivas. So they are measuring poverty not only using income but food. The ability to buy a food, you are actually still poor, but you are not hardcore poor. For Malaysia, we need to slightly change the definition. Yes, income is very vital, it's undeniable, but we need other factors. We can see how many people are actually fall into poverty, especially middle class. During the pandemic, post-pandemic, retrenchment, and of course, they are not able to pay the monthly commitment, they are actually dropped to B40. They currently middle class, they earn about 5,000 a month, but after the retrenchment, you can see that they have no permanent income anymore. So they actually dropped to B40, the bottom line. So the bottom line itself, they have B1, B2, B3, B4. Actually, we have 10 classification income. So the most important, if you look forward to discuss about poverty, it's always salaries and wages, because the indicator is income. So we really need action-based, qualitative, complement quantitative, both, so that we can see that there is any significant element. When I say the qualitative, I mean the qualitative finding found out rising cost of living, the pressure of transportation fares, the pressures of escalation of cost of living in urban localities. But from the quantitative, we can find out the percentage of the internal consistency, how much they are actually deprived. Could be 20%, could be 30%. If 30%, what kind of policy do we need to not to eradicate, but just to reduce, I mean, like the level of deprivation of the poor. Because when I visit the PPR Kerinci, they are really struggling to buy a food because they are actually surrounded with the Bangsa South. It's an elite area. Yeah. It's very elite area. They are not afford to go to village grocer. They are not afford to go to, I mean, Karmeto, the one of the shop. I think that's very expensive for them. They need to travel another 20 to 30 minutes to Subang Jaya to get a groceries. Yeah.
I used to work in around the the Bangsa South. One of the there are 7 towers there. I work in one of those towers there. Yes, that place is actually an interesting extremes, I would say.
Yes.
From one side is an extreme rich who are actually living there, and the other side is the extreme poor surrounding that area as well. So I can understand the challenges faced by the poor, especially when they try to have access to the food and other convenience, right? So I can understand for that. It's very difficult for them. So this is what we call, they are poor, and they are made even poorer being in the urban area, actually.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so that is the plan. But coming back to the research, action research, I don't have any issue if you, just from my
Correct.
opinion, but action research is based from my observation is best. It best actually you can adapt or use that particular approach is when you are in that situation or in that particular research area. For instance, if you are a CEO of an organization which produce processed food, for instance, and you want to study how actually you want to produce your processed food while maintaining a certain level of sugar content, so that so that it is more acceptable, complying with the the Ministry of Health, as well as try to raise also the the quality of the food produced to be able to be consumed by the general public, especially people with with diabetic issues and other issues as well. So your challenge basically to produce a healthy food. Okay, so if you are the CEO of that organization, is the best position for you to do action research, because you are there, you are involved in the organization, you are involved in the whole process. But if you are not involved there, you're coming from the outside, then it poses a bigger challenge. It is not impossible, but it poses bigger challenge. Only that.
Yes, bigger.
Okay.
Correct.
So it's okay. I mean, you can do action research. I think you can.
It is good research actually,
Yeah.
Muhammad Hilmi. Good research actually.
Thank you,
Yes,
Dr. Burhan.
congratulations actually.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, it's good one, because in terms of methodology, in terms of the coverage, in terms
Yes.
of literature review,
Exactly.
I think that is good actually. I mean, what they call is, I mean, that's, you are PhD student or you are doctorate already?
Doctorate.
You are lecturer in
In the
because
University
I
of
missed
Malaya.
that. University of Malaya. Which faculty?
Yes, Faculty of Business and Economics.
Oh, you are with my professors then.
No.
Okay. It
Alright.
is okay. Good. The small world actually.
Yeah.
The
Dr.
world is
Safai,
small.
actually, Dr. Pisal, he's
Yes.
the one who brought me to, not brought me, but the person who how to say is the key person in my life to
Yeah.
study Islamic finance. He came to the University of Malaya to, I mean, they introduced INSEF,
Yes.
Then
Yes.
that's why I got the interest to study INSEF. Then I started the INSEF. So it's because of Dr. Pisal actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
I will tell him
small
that.
world. Yeah. Actually, I used to known as Burhan Saiti, Doctor Burhan
Okay.
Saiti.
All right.
But I got my Turkish citizenship, then I become Burhan Uluyol actually.
Okay.
Yeah, he knows me very well. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, Muhammad Hilmi. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
for
Doctor.
your presentation.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next one. Well, it looks like Muhammad Shahrul Islam. You're the last speaker now. Are you ready?
Just a minute. Huh?
I mean, Doctor, not to boosting you, but it's good one. You give command. It is give enough time. Like this is the way they should be. Not limiting the time. People give the stress. It's not the way, but this is a good way actually. I like it really, Doctor. Very good.
Yeah, I hope we can improve even better in the future conferences. Okay, I can see your presentation now, Shahrul.
Okay, Prof. Just start.
Good.
Assalamu alaikum and very good evening to everyone. I hope today's session is very interactive and enjoyable. I am also participate in several participant comments. But now I am presenting my presentation, that is promoting stakeholders' green investment behavior for adoption green building technology in the construction industry. Basically, I highlights to the construction industry in the perspective of sustainable development goals. And there is several authors Just I am presenting Muhammad Shahul Islam. Sorry, don't move the slides. Okay, thank you. Now, this is the presentation outline. Basically, I will cover introduction, research background, research problem, research objectives, methodology, research implication, and conclusions. This is the introduction slides. Basically, I want to present these slides to the necessity of the climate change issues all over the world. You know, most of the cases in most of the countries are very much worried about their climate change issues. And Bangladesh also the same positions, because last 2 to 3 years, Bangladesh is the most highest polluted country all over the world. So it is very essential for us to know how to solve these issues. This is an alternative way only. The green building technology is an advanced technology in the construction sectors, because most of the companies here follow their traditional construction styles or instruments, but need to change, because according to Saleh et al. 2020, he focused the 30 billion tons of carbon dioxide generated by the construction industry, and it will be increased 42.4 billion tons by 2030. So it is very alarming issues for us. And not only that, every year these polluted issues, 8 million people are dead all over the world, according to World Health Organization report. And this is the crucial topics, as well as the construction sector or construction procedures are having a major impact on the environmental issues. And it has a debate on the construction degradations in our country perspectives. But this study basically highlights or presents the conceptual model that influence the adoption of green building technology in the construction sectors, and integrated with these 3 theories, that is resource-based theory, resource dependency theory, and diffusion of innovations theory. And this is the background. Basically, I will try to highlight the whole background in one slide. So in the left side, we'll see the causes of the environmental issues, that is burning fossil fuel, huge landfilling issues, lot of wastes, but we don't have the manage of the wastes significantly, and demolition the old houses, and all these issues are directly affect on the climate change issues. And now we follow the right side. They're raising their voice all over the world to against the environmental degradation and against the climate change issues. So there is a lot of information here. For example, this banner shows Stop Climate Crime. So climate change issue is not an issue, it is a crime also. And it stands for the climate change justice for everyone. And lastly, the conducted of COP, that is United Nations Conference 27, it has highlighted the 4 things. One is the secure global net zero by mid-century, and keep it 1.5 degrees Celsius within the rising the sea level. Adapt to the protect communication, protect communities and natural habits. Mobilize the fund management, and all is work together to deliver. Now, the some of the literatures highlight in these slides. The cost of the climate change to Bangladesh would amount of the annual loss, that is GDP, 2%, and it is within the 2050, and according to the Lewis and Islam's 2018, and about 0.2 million deaths people in this regard or in these issues. And 40% of the energy consumption and 30% of greenhouse gas emissions are by the construction industry. So it is huge. And construction's waste leads to the 40 to 50% of water pollution. So it is very alarming for us. And it is alarming not only us, it is alarming for the all over the world. The concept of the green building is established basically in the developed economics, and that is Western countries' perspectives. But in the perspective of developing countries like Bangladesh, it is still very slow, and it is very still for new issues. So it is need to concentrate on the researchable areas in our country perspectives. And these slides highlight there's two gaps, that is industry or sectoral gaps, because in our country perspectives, there are different sectors, that is garments industry, cement industry, and others. They have focused more in the government perspectives, but in the construction sectors, there is a less important for the government sector as well as the private sectors. But nowadays 2023, the government changed their mind, and they are inviting the private organizations to part or take their actions to the development part of this issue in our country. And second one, there is a theoretical perspective. So based on the literature review, the adoption of the green building technology involved, there are many theories like theory of region action, theory of technology acceptance model, theory of planned behavior, and so on. But in this study, we proposed the model with the three theories, integrated three theories, that is theory of resource-based view, theory of resource dependency theory, and as well as the diffusion of innovation theories. And this is a summary of this paper. Basically, I highlight the main problem, that is adoption of GBTS in the construction industry in Bangladesh. And there is the sub-issues to cover in this paper. And there is highlighted the research coursing, that is 2 research coursings as well as the 2 research objectives. And this is the conceptual framework that is integrated the 3 independent variables, 1 moderating variables, and 1 dependent variables. And all these framework are supported by the 3 theories already mentioned the previous slides. And this is a conceptual paper. That's why I try to make a proposition, that is proposition 1, proposition 2, and proposition 3 up to 4. The first proposition is perceived green building technology advantage has a positive impact on the construction developers to intention to the green building technologies. And second proposition developed the stakeholders green building technology readiness has a positive impact on the construction developers' intention to adoption of green building technologies, and so on. Just I give it. And this paper basically cover the electronic databases, that is I have already used to search the data, that is Google Scholar, Science Direct, Scopus, MDPA, and Web of Science. And distributed of the literature source, that is descriptor as I use, that is keywords, adoption theories, and perceived green building technology advantage. These are the list of the keywords basically, which I use the searching the sources of data. And the key journals exist in this paper, that is basically 20 journals I have listed in this paper. Already I have used in my paper, drafting my paper. And this is the research process. That is step 6. I have followed the step 6. And the sum of that we retrieved 135 papers basically, and selected only 135 papers, and selected only 35 articles to in this paper. And applicable of the DOI, RBB, that is research-based view theory, and research dependency theory, and establish the interrelationship between the variables based on the previous literature, and recommend testing the proposed framework. And theoretical implications. Every research has a implications procedure. So I have highlighted 2 implications, that is theoretical implications as well as publication, practical implications. So theoretical implications. So the first, the conceptual model is highlight for this. The conceptual model proposed the relationship between the following variables. And the second, this research can serve as a reference of the examine the applicability and validity of the 3 theories, an integrated model in the construction industry perspectives and in the context of the developing country perspectives. And third, the proposed model will consider as a valuable reference in the green construction context. And the practical implications, the results of the conceptual framework may be useful to consultant, contractors, and government high officials as well. These papers serve as a variable resources for those who want to learn more about the green building technology. And the framework would assist policymakers in regulating the development plans, which may stimulate the GBT practice in Bangladesh. And the current study findings assist the contribute of the conclusion of the slides. That is, the current study findings will assist industries to understand the developers' behavior and determine that what have significant of the adoption of GBTs. And findings will be proven and the robust and predictive power of the proposed theoretical model. And finally, the framework may help to decision makers to consider these factors in the development of their plan in terms of sustainable development goals in 2030. So thank you very much. Thank you for patient sharing. If you have any questions, I'm ready to try to answer these questions. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Shahrul.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
A good conceptual paper. I like to open this to the floor. If any one of you have any question or anything to add, any constructive comment and so on. This is a conceptual paper, so Shahrul don't provide any data yet. This is not empirical study, not yet. No question. If you don't, I probably have one or two. One.
Okay.
So your scope of study is based in Bangladesh, right?
Yes. Prof.
And your target respondent will be, who will be your target respondent?
Basically, top management of the developer companies, who are the decision
Management of
makers.
development companies.
Yeah.
Have you identified? Have you have any idea? What
Yes.
is the
Yes.
number
Prof.
of the
Because
company?
I am the professional of these sectors, so I know.
So you have the number already.
Yeah.
You know.
930 organizations, the total populations.
So that is the population, right? In Bangladesh.
And sampling size would be the 240.
Okay. What on what basis do you pick that sampling size?
It is systematic random sampling, Prof.
Right.
But the criteria is only 2 criteria. One is established company in Bangladesh, and second one, who are the member of this sector association, that is Real Estate and Housing Association of Bangladesh, who are the member.
Yeah. But
because most of the companies in our country, for example, around 3,000 companies are there, activities in the construction sector.
yes.
But now only 938 companies are the member of these organizations. And who are the member of this organization? This company is the more capable than others.
Okay,
So
fine.
this is
That is
focus
good.
on this sector. Yeah.
But normally, when theoretically you have to you have to have a base. How do you calculate the samples from the given population? For instance, you can use Craigie Morgan or I think by the number of variables, for instance.
Okay.
And the
Okay,
one is
Prof.
by using the power tool. If I do remember, I remember correctly. I think, yeah.
Yeah. Prof, I basically use the G power
Okay.
analysis for
But
the
but you need to mention that in your paper so that you have to support. You have to have a support. How actually you want to come up with the sample number?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Prof.
Okay. So Bangladesh, and when you say that your area basically taking the data from the contractor or from the service provider in this case is there's not much basically previous study done on this, right?
Yes, Prof.
Basically, is this for Bangladesh only, or is it going to be like a universal study?
No, focus area is Bangladesh basically. Focus area is Bangladesh, but this model will be contribute in the other developing countries also.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other question? No? If not, then it's just nice that we are finishing just before 5 p.m.
I'm the lucky person. Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate that all of you presenters are keeping up with the timeline given. Thank you very much. But this is also contributed by at least 2 speakers are not actually attending to this. They have paid and they have already provided the paper as well. But they're not attending this, so they are not presenting the papers. That is Dodo Han just now, and also Dani Asmadi. So we are coming to the end of this virtual conference session. But before that, is there any other question at all? Anything from my briefing just now, also from any of the presenters? Maybe we can wrap up if any question. Otherwise, we can actually officially adjourn this this meeting or this conference. We are done. We are good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. It's nice one. I think it's more focus and the more, the time is given to everyone.
Yes.
I think it's nice one, and to receive some feedback for our presentations. I think this is not just for formalities, but it's a really good one. Sharing.
Thank you very much. So I would like to extend my thanks on behalf of the organizing committee to all presenters, Ms. Dao Wen Hong, Anita, Dr. Borhan, Shahrul, and also Muhammad Hilmi. Thank you very much for sharing with us your research. I hope you guys are flying high. I hope you guys continue doing the research in more meaningful manner, because this is what we are. We are in this industry. We are in this particular area. We are expected to do research, and we have to do research. So hopefully, many of our researchers will be turned into production, so-called, that can be used for the benefit of the committee and the public, right? That is the main aim, basically, that why actually we are required to do research. If in the university, we are an academic staff in a local or international universities, I think majority of the time is actually expected to be spent doing research, actually. So teaching the student and giving a lecture, is actually in a local language that we say it tugas hakiki. Okay, you have to do it. Okay, you just have to do it. It's a matter of course, but the most important thing is actually the research that we are doing. That is the most important thing. That's the most that we are looking at. Okay. So with that, I thank you very much for your participation. I hope this is not the last that we're going to meet. I hope we'll be able to meet again and cross our path again in the near future. We have several of these conferences in the list that I provided. If you or your student or your friends or colleagues probably have any interest to participate in academic conference like this, and also submitting your research or research article for publication in our journal, you are welcome. You are mostly welcome. Just email to us to, in this case, icbmte@acinetwork.org. Then I will personally respond to that as soon as I can. So with that, thank you very much. I wish you all the best in whatever you do.
Hi, Doctor. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry. Can we have a group photo, actually? This is my first presentation,
Okay.
so
I would love to. I would love. Thank you for that reminder. Yes, I agree with that. Can everyone show your beautiful picture, please? Okay. Mr. Periasamy Kanagarajan, Miss Dao Wen Hong.
Actually, hello, Dr. Shafi.
Yes.
I'm Priyasamy. I'm using two devices.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. That's okay. This is my doctor's
I'm sorry about that. How about Kanagarajan?
Okay.
Where is Kanagarajan? Anybody there? Miss Wen Hong. Where are you? Okay, I'll take a group photo. Okay. Give your best smile. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Okay, I will email this to all of you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
The picture I will email to all of you. Thank you very much. So
Thank you.
anything else before we close this one? Thank you. I'll see you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care, everyone.
I hope all the best for all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, stay healthy.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.